Hello folks, BUSSEY'S garage here. Taking a little training hike today. We're headed up the Dios Highland Preserve, and we're just going to hike up to the top of the reservoir above Elfin Forest Preserve and back down just to kind of keep in shape. This is a nice place. The parking lot's always empty, and it's a nice steep hill if you like to hike in the mountains. It's a decent trainer. As you can see, my breath is picking up right away. But it's got some nice amenities here. Decent place to park. It's on the backside by Lake Hodges. It's got picnic tables. They've got a station for you to pick up bags for dog waste and so forth. Please use it. And a nice steep couple of mile road up to the top of the peak. Well, the nice part of the hike is over on the Elfin Forest side, but today it's full of people from a special event. So today it's just a winding dirt road on the back side of the hill. I'll make the video short. There's a parking lot down below. Within the first couple of 100 yards, you immediately rise up onto the side of this hill and get right to work. Ahead is the ridge that you reach when you're overlooking the reservoir to the west and the parking lot down on the east side. So, and this is the road that it's basically just a fire road, but it's an easy hike and you don't have to worry about bumping elbows with somebody. You just get a good workout. About a half a mile in, there's what used to be a pretty good informational kiosk. It's all faded and cracked now, but you have a really nice view of Hodges from here. You're just a little above it, so you get more of a 3D appreciative view of it. We'll zoom in a little bit. It's not very far away. There's some good hiking over there and bicycling, really good bicycling. There's a little rest area here with a fairly new kiosk. They've got a dog station. There's a pretty good informational map here of the area, and it actually extends all the way to the coast in several different park jurisdictions, but lots of hiking in this area. It's kind of brushy. It's not like being up in the mountains, but it's certainly very nice. Well, within the first 3/4 of a mile, you ascend pretty quickly. I mean, you're already up high enough to see all the surrounding mountains, and the views get a little bit better. It is kind of brushy though, and in the summer it's real hot and miserable, but if you come up here in winter, if it's a little bit rainy or the ground is real wet, the road is DG, so for the most part it's fairly forgiving. You won't get you get a little mud, but you're not going to get like a slog fest going, because the road is pretty much DG, and it is an easement road, so they have to get vehicles up and down it every once in a while. So anyway, yeah, I'd say it's a 4-season hiking trail or hiking road, if you will. Now you get in, like I say, about 3/4 of a mile, and it pitches up again pretty steep, and so you can lean into it as hard as you want to make it whatever kind of a workout you want. But when you come up around this corner here, it'll be some pretty nice views. Well, you come around the corner at about 3/4 mile in, and it pitches up real steep, so you can really lay into it if you want to get your heart rate up. Definitely want to keep your head on a swivel. Look for these rattlesnakes. This is a big one. He's probably, I'd say he's about 4 feet. Looks like he's got about 10 rattles on his tail there. I never saw him. He was just kind of hanging on the side of the road. That's one reason why I kind of prefer this road in the spring, because I don't have to walk next to the brush. I mean, the other parts of the trail on this thing have plenty of people on it, so they kind of push the snakes away, but still, if you're the first guy up here, you might get a surprise if you're on the skinny trail. If you're on this one, you got a lot of room, a lot of vision. Well, you get a full mile in, and you reach this little false summit here, and you can get up there, and you can, well, show you, look across, and you can see the Elfin Forest side, and you can see its trails quite clearly. Top of that little false summit, you come up on this pretty nice lookout point. If you look off in the distance there, you've got the Del Dios area, actually looking towards Elfin Forest, and the preserve is right below us. You can see the zigzag trail coming up the side of the hill. I'll zoom in on it a little bit here. So the parking is all down there for the special events or just the everyday stuff. And they do have overflow parking, and you can park on the road. So if you really want to hike, even when it's crowded, there's plenty of room. All right, well, we're almost to the summit of this road, one of the peaks, and you can just now see the reservoir popping out behind the trees. And there's quite a few trails down in that area that you can hike. Some are more like this fire road, some are single. You know, watch where you're going, because the snakes are out this morning. It is springtime. Well, just to the right of the trail near the summit, they've got a nice little kiosk here that shows some of the peaks off in the distance. And if you look off in the distance, they're shrouded in a little bit of haze today. It's almost May, and but you still see them. There's Palomar back there. Some of the real pronounced ones like Orgonio and San Jacinto are back there. You could just barely make them out, but it's awful hazy. On a clear day, it's actually awesome. They look like they're just a mile away. So here's the shot of the kiosk. Kind of get an idea of some of the area scenes or sites, peaks. It actually looks like this on a clear day. Pretty nice kiosk. It's got a lot of information on it. To the left of the kiosk here, there's a little kind of a, I don't know if it's a hack or if it's, you know, they don't say there's no sign saying don't walk here, but it goes right down through the brush and kind of shortcuts the main road. So, you know, if you're going to take something like this, watch where you're walking in the spring. So looking west from the summit, I'm actually looking a little bit due south. But, and I mean the summit of that first climb that we come up from the backside by Del Dios. You hit this first summit and then you really can see the grand scape of the area. This fire road tumbles downhill to a main intersection, which is pretty much right straight in front of the camera. And it allows you to venture off on several single trails, fire roads, whatever you see fit. If you make a hard right, of course, you go right down to the parking lot where the Elfin Forest Preserve trailhead is. And you can see the hikers down below on the little arc of the Elfin Forest Preserve trail, and they're just about to the top of that trail, to the ascent, which basically puts you off over by these great big telephone poles. Well, at this point, you reach the end of the Dios Highlands County Preserve, and you're going to cross over this pipe gate, if you will, at mile 1.3, and you'll be crossing into the Elfin Forest Preserve. And nothing much changes. It's just a different area, and they have actually bathrooms down there. They have water sources, picnic tables, more kiosks, and at times they have maps of the area. But the kiosk does a great job. You just take a picture with your cell phone, you got yourself an automatic map. Here's a pretty nice shot of the Mount Israel Reservoir. It's maintained by the Elfin Municipal Water District, and they pretty much watch over this, and they actually maintain the Elfin Forest Preserve as far as I know, or at least they police it to some extent. Now we came on down into the preserve, Elfin Forest Preserve, just a bit, just to kind of cross over to one of the other tall peaks and get a view. This is one of the information signs that they have here. It's pretty good. This path right here leads off to restrooms and water and a nice rest area. This path here, which is facing west, heads off to another peak with some information on it, some more rest areas. This path right here will take you down to the Elfin Forest Preserve parking lot, and that road right there is the one that we just came down from the little summit of the Del Dios area. And keep on going around here and you arrive back at the sign. Alright, we stayed right at the sign, just right of it, and the first thing you come to is this fork, so we're gonna want to bear right here to get up to this other peak, which is on the west side of the preserve, because ultimately to get to that peak, this is one road that stays fairly wide. You don't have to worry about walking in the snake trails. It's also pretty direct. Well, we've arrived at this little kiosk area on the top of the other high point, and this high point is in the Elfin Forest Preserve. You've got a couple of benches there to rest on, some nice shade in the summer, and the kiosk has all the same information, I believe, that the other one did. It just doesn't have all the rules posted on it that the other one did. So we got a really great view of the ocean today, although it's kind of hazy today, and you really can't see the islands that well, if at all. But it is a great view spot. You can see the Coronados when it's clear, Point Loma. Quite a vista. This contraption here is a viewfinder, basically. There's a piece of pipe that you look through, and then what you do is you look at a mountain through the pipe, and you look below, and what they have is a pointer, and the pointer points to a water jetted printed out plate that has the names of all the local mountains on it. So as you rotate the device to look at a given mountain, then the pointer will point to where you're looking. So that's Starvation Mountain right there. So there's the pano from the top of the peak on the Elfin Forest Preserve. This is looking east, and it's a little bit hazy, even to the east. Doesn't look like it's really clearing up. We're due for rain on Monday, I think, so it's just staying kind of a moisturized atmosphere. Well, from the kiosk and shade area where the seats are, you can actually, once you've arrived, you can continue on and make a loop out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and carry on down this trail. This trail is much narrower. It's well established, but it's narrow. So I'm going to be kind of watching today, being that I've already seen one snake. Make sure that's the only one I see in my path. One thing that the signs remind you to do is to kind of know which trail you're on, because after the morning hikers leave, the place gets kind of deserted, and then you're on your own out here. So if you're to turn an ankle or get, have a problem of some kind, you definitely want to be able to cell phone out and tell them where you're at on the preserve. So eventually that little loop trail joins the main fire road, the main service road actually, and then you just go left and you'll be heading right back to the peak that we first came over this morning. So we just dumped out right there at the foot of that telephone pole, and they have a nice information signage right here that really lets you know all of the areas up here, how far they are to them, which trails you're going to find when you're there. Really kind of nice, well thought out. So off we go. We're going to head home now. We finished up that little loop. That trail that's coming down the hill there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. We're looking dead east right there, and we kind of trotted down that thing to get over into this side, which is the west side of the Elfin Forest. It's the west side of the boundary, but it's actually pretty much the east side of the Elfin Forest Preserve. So we're going to run up that road, cross over that pipe gate, and we'll be heading east. We'll go right down the great big hill back to the car. As you come down from the little loop trail and you make your way onto the main fire road, the first thing you notice is that you really can see that reservoir, and kind of get a nice view of it from a different angle. You're not allowed to get in the water or go to the water, but you can certainly appreciate it from this distance. And I guess you could certainly imagine yourself in the water, but that's all you're going to be doing. I would imagine they would probably take you away if they saw you in it. Great view of the reservoir. Sky cleared up, so you got a real deep blue color there now. Once you drop down off that little loop trail from the peak, you're going to be on this big fire road. It's called Ridgeline Road. You can't get off of it, really. The interesting thing is that the telephone lines or the power lines are right over your head. So follow the telephone poles, basically. Well, Ridgeline Road is going to basically bring us right back to the central trail intersection where all these roads and trails come together. So then we're going to go ahead and we're looking at that little hill right there. So when we came down to get over here, we'll go right back up and over, and as I said earlier, we'll go right back down to the car from there. Okay, top of the road, and when you get up here, you just want to bear left on the way back, because that's the trail to the park boundary. Oh, there we go. Just hop that little pipe gate, which is totally allowed, and continue on. Back at the top at the little summit here. So if you want to get your jollies off on the skinny trail, just head toward the kiosk. And if you want to stay on the wide road, just bear right here, and they both come back together on the way down. Right in these bushes this morning is where I saw that great big rattlesnake. Something that you should be mindful of is that you shouldn't be afraid of rattlesnakes. You should be aware of them. Nobody ever got bit by a rattlesnake that came after them. You know, they don't attack you. Usually what happens is you provoke them, either playing with them or step on one or get incredibly close. They'll usually crawl away or back up and rattle, which gives you plenty of warning. So all you really need to do is just keep your eyes open when they're around. You shouldn't be afraid of them. About halfway down the hill, and you come around just get past the steep part, come around this corner, you get this real nice view of the valley that the Lake Hodges sits in. Well, we're back at the car, and there's the route we took up from the Dios Highway up past the reservoir, made a loop at the end, and then back down to the car. This trail gives you about a little more than 1,000 feet of elevation gain. It's about 4.7 miles, looks like. Well, there's your hike. About 4.7 miles, about 1,200 feet elevation gain. Just really a workout hike. I rated that trail like 3 out of 5, only because it's not that pretty or that fantastic. It's a place you'd go to work out, really. But I highly recommend it if you want to go and get away. It's quick, it's easy, it's low population, and easy to park. They usually open it up about 8 o'clock in the morning, and stays open all day. You got to be out of there by sunset. But good hike for a workout, especially if you're between bigger hikes. Keep the muscles loose. All right, thanks for watching.